Everybody is absolutely freaking out over this $500 full suspension mountain bike. Now, anybody paying attention can tell that this is definitely a huge step up from the typical department store bike. But for the $500, what are you actually getting? And for the beginner mountain bike rider or your everyday average mountain bike rider, would you be better off purchasing a bike just a little bit more expensive, like the budget Polygon T6 right here? Keep watching at the end of this video. I got the side-by-side comparison, Walmart versus Polygon, coming up. How much money are you gonna spend upgrading this bike to be able to ride the type of single track trails that we like to ride on mountain bikes? All right, initial impressions, you got that bike all built up. It's got the black frame color. I did want this in the white. This bike comes in two colors, in like a light gray, like white color, and this black. But this thing is constantly sold out online, so I had to settle with the black. And this is a size large 19-inch. Now this bike comes in three different sizes. A size small, I think it's like a 15-inch, a size medium, 17-inch, and this size large, 19-inch. And that may be like all you need to know if you're a brand new rider. But for guys like me who are really serious about mountain biking, you really want to know a little bit more about a bike's size. And for that, we look at something called the geometry chart, or the geo chart for short. What I like to look at when I'm looking at a bike is like three specific numbers when it comes to the geo chart. The reach, how big is the bike? The head tube angle, like how slack is that head tube angle? How good is it gonna do on the way downhill? And the seat tube angle, how steep is that seat tube angle? How's it gonna feel climbing on the way uphill? And for this size large, the reach was overall 485 reach, which is about typical for a size large. But the problem for me is I usually ride a size extra large, and you'll get to see that in a minute when I take this out and compare it against my Polygon T6, that this bike is a little bit shorter than my Polygon that has a 505 millimeter reach. Now when it comes to the head tube angle, is 65 degrees, which is actually spot on and perfect for a trail bike. But the seat tube angle, this seat tube angle is 69 degrees, which is like 2 degrees slacker than my Polygon bike out there. So is this bike gonna climb horribly? I don't know, man. We'll have to see a little bit more in future videos when I take this thing out for a ride. Let's take a closer look at this bike. I'll talk about some of the things that I like, you know, the value you're getting for your $500, but then I'll talk about some major concerns I have with the part spec and with this bike build. So first of all, things that I like. Obviously, $500, it's still a full suspension mountain bike, so you have a shock in the rear. The coil, people have complained that this is a really heavy, like 850-pound coil, but me being a 200-pound rider, at least it's not, you know, too soft of a coil, so I don't have to worry about that rear shock moving so much that it ruins the pedaling efficiency or that I'm just not able to ride it. It's got a suspension fork. Not the best fork, but at least it's got something on there, although people have called this fork like a pogo stick, so we'll see how that performs out on the trail. It does have boost spacing, a rear through axle. It's got the Shimano Q's drivetrain, so that's a decent drivetrain. It's even got little numbers up there for you in case you wanted to know which gear you're in. Now it's only got 9 speeds, but it should be enough for most people just getting into the sport. It's got lock-on grips, decent bars, a little bit short. I think they're like 730 width, and I usually run like a 780 width bars, so a little bit wider bars. The stem is short enough, could be a little bit shorter, but you know, short enough stem on there, decent saddle. And so overall, like, not bad for the $500 range, but some things that I don't like about this bike and some major concerns, right? Let's just start down here at the brakes and we'll move our way up. So 180 rotors, that's cool. It's got the 180 on the rotor right there. So 180 rotors is a decent size, but mechanical brakes. See this little cable right there? It doesn't have a hydraulic brake line going in there. So mechanical brakes, and we'll see how good those brakes stop me on the way downhill, especially as I start going a lot faster We'll see if those mechanical brakes are enough. Moving on from there, the rear is a through axle, but the front is not. The front is a quick release. That means that if you want to upgrade your fork, you're gonna have to upgrade your wheels. If you want to upgrade your wheels, most wheels you're gonna upgrade to are gonna have a through axle, which means you gotta upgrade your fork. So I wish they would have made this a through axle, but I get it, they're trying to save money. Now on to the wheels and tires. Wheels and tires for a mountain bike, you really want to be able to go tubeless. I don't think these are tubeless compatible or tubeless ready wheels. Tires for a trail bike, these are more like gravel bike style tires. The tread on here, super soft casing. So I'm wondering how good these tires will actually be on steeper trails when I start mobbing downhill. Now moving on, I already talked a little bit about the fork. The fork might have to go. We'll see if this fork can actually handle the type of riding that I do, but for $500 overall for the bike, that's kind of what you'd expect to get to on the fork, so I'm not gonna knock that too much. One other thing I actually do like, super sleek internal cable routing right here, and it has the hole right there for the dropper post lever. When you wanna put a dropper post on this bike, doesn't come with a dropper post, and that's one of the complaints I have, is that that's as low as you can get the saddle to go right now, because the seat tube curves right here, which means it doesn't have that much insertion depth, and so you can't really drop that saddle down too low. I'm gonna have to cut some of that seat tube off that's inside there to be able to drop this saddle down, because you wanna be able to get your saddle down low enough when you're going downhill so it's out of your way, not hitting you in the butt. And then you want to be able to have it up high enough to where it's in a good pedaling position for your legs when you're pedaling on the way uphill. Now, speaking of pedaling, these pedals, it does come with pedals, but you're not going to want to use these pedals. I'll compare this to the pedals that come on my Polygon. This has plastic pins. It's just not going to provide you enough grip when you're out there, especially if your feet get wet or muddy like they tend to when you're riding single track trails. Now, moving on from the pedals to the cranks, these cranks, it's got that standard like department store style bottom bracket. So not a threaded bottom bracket. And it's just got this straight, like, what do you call that? Like a hex like spindle right there. Cranks like this in the past when I've rode cheaper bikes tend to come loose on you. So you're definitely gonna want the right size Allen wrench with you when you're riding. And you're gonna have to check the tightness on those cranks frequently to make sure that they don't come loose. Now on the back real quick, another thing that I'm kind of concerned about is this right here is the derailleur hanger. The derailleur hanger, you can see bolts into the frame right there. And it looks like it's a pretty sturdy, solid metal derailleur hanger. Now usually the derailleur hanger will be on the inside of the frame, and that's supposed to be like the fail point that you want. If you smack that derailleur, you want it to fail right there so you don't end up damaging the frame. So I don't know, I'm just not used to seeing that. Let me know in the comments, have you guys ever seen a derailleur hanger like that where it bolts in to the frame right there? But overall, got to keep in mind, this is a $500 bike. And there's not many other bikes out there, if any, for $500 you're gonna get that come as trail ready as this. But how good of a value is it really? In order to answer that, we got to get this bike outside and do the side-by-side test against my Polygon T6, which I think is one of the best value mountain bikes of all time. All right, there we go. We got the Ozark Trail FS.2 Slalom full suspension mountain bike, $500 versus the Polygon T6. This is the newest Siskiyou, but it costs $1,500. So which bike should you buy? You know, this is obviously the cheapest option. Maybe that one's out of your price range. And that bike right there is kind of the reason why I ended up getting the Ozark Trail, because so many times I've made best budget mountain bike and people have told me, Jared, $1,500 is not budget. You need something cheaper. But what are you getting on a $500 bike when you compare the two? You can see on here, this bike, it has that boost spacing. It's got the through axle in the rear, but it's only got the quick release up front. Come back to the Polygon back here, you can see it's got the through axle, front and rear, with that boost spacing. It has better wheels. They're already tubeless ready, The tires, let's not even try and compare the tires. These are the Dissector, Maxxis Dissector tires, 29 by 2.4 Max Terra EXO Plus casing. So everything you could want in a tire right there, but it's not apples to apples comparisons, right? Definitely not, because this is $500, that bike is $1,500. So you'd expect it to have better parts, but some of the parts you're definitely gonna have to upgrade on this bike right here is like a dropper post. You're gonna want a dropper post on there. Better pedals, you're gonna want pedals with some pins in it. Tires, new tires, you're gonna want new tires. So $400, $450. You can see how very quickly you start getting into a price range where you maybe should have just got the Polygon Fs.2 T6 back there that already has a dropper post, that already has an air shock that's a little bit better shock that you can fine tune exactly for your body weight, that has a 10-speed version of that Shimano Q's drivetrain with 11 by 48 tooth gear range, that has hydraulic disc brakes, that has sleek internal cable routing, that comes with pedals that actually have metal pins in it. And the frame, let's not even get started on the frame. Like, look at that frame. At the end of the day, look at the linkage. One piece solid, one piece pivots. You compare that to the linkage over here. You see those two separate pieces right there for the suspension linkage. That means as you're twisting and turning around those corners, there's a chance for that to kind of shift that coil shock with the 850-pound spring. That's not going to be the perfect weight for you. But the Ozark Trail is still giving you the cheapest possible way to get into mountain biking, go ride, and have fun, right? So in future videos, I'll be taking these bikes out on the trails, riding the Walmart FS.2, riding the Polygon back to back, and really showing you like what you get for your money and breaking down who would be better suited just to get the Ozark Trail and who might definitely want to get something like the Polygon Fs.2 T6. Hey you guys, these videos are not sponsored. I will throw links to the Ozark Trail, and I do have affiliate links for Polygon. They don't pay me to make any of these videos, but using those links does help support the channel. So definitely use those links if you're thinking about purchasing a bike. It helps me continue to make videos like this. And leave a comment down below if there's anything that you guys want me to see, future tests, maybe some upgrades. Maybe try and see if I can upgrade this Ozark Trail without spinning as much as you would on the Polygon T6 and still make it capable and trail ready. And remember you guys, at the end of the day, whether you're riding the Ozark Trail or the T6, it's all about getting stoked, going riding, and having some fun, people.